There is something rare in this world, something quietly powerful, something most people are afraid to practice. It is not strength in silence. It is not control over others. It is not perfection. It is transparency, being open, being real, being seen as you are without masks. And yet, for many people, transparency feels dangerous. The other suppresses your truth. Why do people hide? Because they fear rejection, because they fear judgment, because they fear losing connection. But ironically, hiding creates the very thing you're trying to avoid. When you're not transparent, relationships stay shallow, communication becomes unclear, emotional distance grows, and people never truly meet the real you. You may be surrounded by others, but still feel unseen, because you're not allowing yourself to be fully known. And the truth is simple but uncomfortable. You cannot be loved for who you are, if who you are is always hidden. Now imagine something different. Imagine a life where you do not constantly manage how you appear, where you do not carry the weight of pretending, where you speak honestly, even if your voice shakes. That is what transparency does. It removes the internal conflict, because when your outside matches your inside, there is no tension between the two. You stop wasting energy on maintaining illusions. You start using that energy to grow, to heal, to live. Transparency is not just emotional honesty. It is energy liberation. One of the biggest fears that blocks transparency is this. What if people misunderstand me? And yes, they might. But here is something deeper. Even if you're fully transparent, not everyone will understand you. And that is not a failure. It is reality. Because people do not see you as you are. They see you through their own experiences, fears, and beliefs. So if you hide yourself to avoid misunderstanding, you're not gaining clarity. You're simply losing authenticity. The real strength is this. I will express myself truthfully, even if not everyone gets it. In relationships, transparency is not just important, it is essential. Because without it, assumptions grow, expectations become unclear, emotional distance increases. But when two people are transparent, misunderstandings decrease, trust deepens naturally, and connection becomes real, not performative. You stop guessing what the other person feels, because they tell you. You stop pretending you are fine when you are not, because honesty becomes safe. And slowly, relationships become not just interactions, but true understanding between souls. There's a subtle transformation that happens when you start living openly. At first, it feels uncomfortable because you're not used to it, because you're used to control. But slowly something changes. You begin to feel lighter. You begin to feel clearer. You begin to feel more present in your own life. And most importantly, you stop abandoning yourself to be accepted by others. That is the real shift. Not becoming someone new, but finally becoming honest with who you already are. Many people think courage is about fighting battles or achieving success. But there is a quieter courage that is often overlooked. The courage to be seen as you are, to say what you feel, to admit when you're not okay, to express truth without knowing how it will be received. This kind of courage does not shout. It simply exists in honesty. And in a world full of filters, masks, and performance, being real becomes a radical act. When you live transparently, you are not only freeing yourself, you're giving permission to others to be real too, because authenticity is contagious. When someone sees you speaking honestly, they begin to feel, maybe I don't have to hide either. And slowly, you create environments where truth is normal, not rare, where people do not compete to appear perfect, but connect through being real. That is the quiet impact of transparency. It spreads without effort. So maybe the question is not, how do I protect my image? But instead, how honest am I willing to be with myself? Because transparency is not about exposure. It is about alignment. Alignment between your thoughts, your words, and your truth. And when that alignment happens, something powerful emerges. Peace. Not the peace of pretending everything is fine, but the peace of finally being real. And maybe that is the gift you were always looking for. Not perfection, not approval, not control, but the freedom of living openly without fear of being yourself.